What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know I haven't posted in a while, but we did end up getting a Duramax, as you can see back there, and today we're going to be doing some mods to it. I've only owned the truck for a couple of months now, but I've been itching. I've got this bug that I need to get some things changed up on the truck. So we got some new parts I'm going to show you guys, but I'm going to give you guys a quick little overview of the truck since I haven't really introduced it. All right, guys, so it is an 05 Duramax, like I was saying. So it is the LLY. It is a crew cab, regular, like short bed. The truck is a northern truck, but it's actually pretty clean, not a whole lot of rust or anything. It was one owner, old man owned, and it's only got 127,000 miles on it. We have quite a bit of plans for it. I hate these wheels and tires. I hate the little rain guards, like little stuff like that. But for right now, we're just gonna be focused on getting this thing more reliable, getting it a little bit more power. And then probably next year, we'll get into the cosmetics of the truck. In the future though, I will be doing some more reviews of the truck, going over the Duramax, how I like it. I was a previous Power Stroke owner. I've owned 2 Power Strokes. So I kind of have a little bit of an insight on both ends of the spectrum, except for obviously the Cummins. But I can kind of go into detail on how I feel about the differences between the 2 trucks, especially since the years were very similar. All right, guys, so here in the first box, as you can kind of tell by the name, is a MBRP 5-inch full straight pipe exhaust. Hopefully, I've heard mixed reviews, but some people say that the 5-inch with no muffler has a little bit of a drone. I'll probably end up doing an update video to tell you guys whether or not I like it or not. My previous Power Strokes had 4 inches on them, and I liked it, but I felt like it could have been louder. And I mean, Duramaxes are a little bit quieter as it is than I had 6-liter Power Strokes. So I kind of wanted to give it the best upper hand for a little bit more noise. I'll do an update in the future on whether or not it has a lot of drone, but I'm hoping it sounds really, really good. And then paired with the exhaust, we have a 3-inch downpipe. Kind of sucks that you have to go from a 3-inch to a 5-inch, but with this downpipe, pretty much this is the max you can run on the Duramaxes. There's just not a whole lot of room. But supposedly this is a huge improvement over the stock one. Once I get it out, I'll show you guys the difference. The stock one's kind of pancaked. So once we get that out, I'll show you guys the difference. But yeah, we have a 3-inch downpipe going into a 5-inch straight pipe exhaust. We also picked up an HSP Y-bridge kit for the truck, which includes the passenger side charge pipe, the plenum that goes to your Y-bridge, and then a new Y-bridge. Basically, this just diverts the air between your 2 heads. Supposedly these are known to fail, and then also this is a huge airflow upgrade compared to the stock ones. Once we get it off, I can show you guys. And then it also includes the coupler that you need, and then the coolant hose to divert the coolant from the thing that used to go right here. So we will be losing some weight also with this modification, but we'll get into that as we go through it. Also, at the time of this video, I have the intake from HSP and the driver side charge pipe on order, but it's not here yet. I'll probably insert the clip right after this, but as of me right now making this video, I do not have it yet. It should be here in about a week, but you guys will get to see it instantly. So we also got an LB7 style up pipe for the passenger side. Anybody who knows the LLY one knows that there's a little bit of a diversion here. Like I said, we're trying to lose some weight and increase airflow, so this is going to be the one that we're going to go with. This thing is super good quality. DHD is the company that makes this one. Feels like really heavy material, which is what you want, thick gauge steel for your exhaust. I ordered one from, I think it was Duramax Tuner or something, like Duramax Depot, something like that. I can't remember. I'll insert the name of it here. But honestly, I was not impressed with the quality of this one. You can even just see, let me pull it up just a little bit. It's just like super thin. It feels really light in comparison to the other one. The flanges don't look anywhere near to as nice as these ones. As you can see, all the imperfections in that one. So if you guys are looking to do this upgrade, I would look for DHD and stay away from this company. I need to return this one. I didn't mean to order 2 of them. I didn't know when I did this order that I included this one, and then I ended up ordering that one. But we're just going to be installing this one, and I'll return that one. We also picked up a EFI Live V3 Auto Cal to put some tuning in the truck to give it a little bit better performance. And then a DSP 5 switch, which we'll have to install on the truck also. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit all this in one video. I might end up doing the tuning in a different video. But yeah, let's get to it. Quick disclaimer though, guys. Some of the parts that we will be installing, pretty much anytime you're modifying a diesel, it's going to be for off-road use only. Do not do any of these things and try and drive it on the street, or if you live in a emissions compliant state where you have to do emissions testing, don't be doing this to your truck, guys. I have no legal ties to anybody who does any of these mods. This is strictly for off-road use only. I also bought some maintenance items, like all new glow plugs for the truck. I probably won't bore you guys with the install of that, but I'll be doing all this stuff at the same time along with new thermostats. I live in a colder state, and these haven't been replaced on the truck ever, to my knowledge. So to save myself from having to do it in the middle of winter when it's -5 degrees outside and windy, I think I'll just replace them now while everything's apart. I'll give you guys a quick little overview of the engine bay. Obviously, if you own a stock LOY, this is what yours already looks like, maybe a little bit better. Mine's got some things that don't look the best. I'm going to be cleaning this up while I'm in here, but there's not really a whole lot I can do about right now. But this is what it looks like. I'm also going to do a cold start real quick of the stock exhaust, since that's what's on the truck right now, and then I'll show you guys once we get all of this stuff installed what it sounds like afterwards. The only mod the truck does have is the S&B turbo intake elbow, which we are going to be getting rid of that because we're going to be installing the full HSP intake that includes that elbow. Anybody who knows LOYs knows that that is a must upgrade. S&B, whatever brand, HSP, doesn't matter. This thing is a huge choking point on the stock LOYs. I will be selling that, but I will not be using that again, but that is the only mod on the truck. Won't bore you guys too much with the disassembly. It's pretty straightforward. If I get to some difficult parts, I will try and update you guys, but I'll show you guys the process along the way. All right, guys, a little update here. We've gotten the Y bridge all removed, the EGR is removed. As you can see right there where that towel is, where it would have hooked up into the exhaust. But pretty much everything's removed that needs to be removed. It is a little bit of a challenge to get it out of that valley. That tube right back here kind of gets in the way, but if you just lightly pry on it and move it out of your way a bit, you can get it out of there. I did end up taking those nuts completely off, but I'm going to try and leave those 2 nuts on whenever I go in with the new Y bridge. Because I think it's going to be pretty difficult to get them put on there. There's not a whole lot of room between your turbo here and that Y bridge. And then this guy gets in your way a little bit here, but it's not too bad. There is a bracket up in here that I loosened up while I took the bolt completely out of it, and it gives you some wiggle room with that. And then there is a tube here, for fuel, sorry, that comes on the back side of this alternator here, and then hooks into your CP3 right there, and then that other tube right there. So I just pulled that off of there and then kind of pulled it up and over out of the way. But yeah, that ended up giving me enough room to get it out of there. I did find a bunch of my firewall insulation down here in the valley, but we got that all cleaned up. I cleaned up the surfaces. I'm going to show you guys the differences between the piping, and then we'll start into the install. Also, guys, this thing's just sitting here right now. The entire time when I was working on it, I had it sitting over there on the battery. You can keep your lines connected to it, but you can just unbolt this thing and then set it up over there. Kind of gets it out of your way. I did remove my thermostat housing to get this tube out of here easier, this coolant pipe. But I also wanted to replace both the thermostats. The truck's got 130,000 miles on it. And I'm already here. I have the coolant drained. Might as well just replace them. So I did take those out and then loosened up this tube. You can't really tell that it's loosened up. Some people say to like completely remove them. To get to that backside bolt though, you kind of have to undo all of these harnesses. And I didn't want to have to deal with trying to get that bolt out of there. So I just took this bolt here out and then loosen that one. And then you can kind of bend this once you pull this tube here. You can bend this whole tube kind of out of your way. So you don't have to fully pull that back bolt. And it gets it out of your way enough so that you can get everything out of here that you need to. But that is pretty much everything for up here. All right guys, so here's the two Y bridges right next to each other. This is the stock Y bridge, and then this is the HSP Y bridge. You can see instantly the diameter of the hole is much larger on the HSP one. Should be a lot more airflow on this one. Also, if you look on the inside here, there is a big kind of like a quarter of this area is taken up by the inlet here because it is O-ringed on the stock one, whereas this one's just a straight wall. So there's a lot bigger opening here, a lot smoother transition between the two. Overall, the entire transition of this piece is much better, so it should increase the airflow quite a bit. Also on the back side, it's kind of got a V notch to it, so hopefully it's easier to get to those two back nuts. This one was just a straight shot, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to those back too. But the biggest reason why you guys want to do this upgrade is the stock elbow that comes into the Y bridge. The only thing holding it in there is these two O-rings right here, and they're known to fail because I mean there's a lot of boost in this area. Over time these O-rings are gonna get worn down, shrink down a bit, and then eventually towing up a grade or something, or maybe you have a tune on your truck, whatever it is, has a chance for this to pop out. And then you're stuck on the side of the highway because you have no boost. So the HSP one has two studs on it, and then I guess I can grab it, I don't care. Up here, obviously, will bolt right to that flange so that there is no chance of it popping off. And then it is still O-ringed, so it'll be a good seal. So honestly, a huge upgrade now that I see them side by side. And then on top of the Y bridge, we also get this, like I was saying, because this bolt's on there, this new intake horn here is so much better airflow than the stock setup. The stock one is this guy that leads into this and then would go into that Y bridge. But the HSP kit is like, it would fit, the stock one fits inside of the HSP. It's so much bigger, so should give us a lot better airflow. And then on top of that, you guys can see all of this soot that has been building up inside of the intake path. See it all on the EGR valve right there. See if we can look in here. Just soot everywhere from that EGR, guys. EGRs are the worst thing to happen to diesels. And my truck only has 127,000 miles on it. And look how much stuff, guys. This is all going into your intake valves, intake runner. Like, this is not good for a diesel engine. Worst thing to ever happen to them. But between us not having any of all that soot left in there, much better airflow, and then we don't have the chance of that thing blowing off anymore, this should be a huge upgrade. Highly recommend. All right, guys, so we got the Y bridge installed down in there. I'll be honest, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get in there. I left the two nuts off and then put them on after I installed the Y bridge, and it wasn't too bad. I just used a paper towel inside of my socket to hold them in there with a swivel. And with this extra little notch here, there was enough room to get back there to them. So not too bad, but we got that installed. We got the, I guess, intake horn or whatever you want to call it that goes to the Y bridge all installed. A lot better supported than just the O-ring design that was on the old one. So we still have a lot of buttoning up to do up here, but that's all installed. And then down below, we got the up pipe all installed. We did have an issue. The bolts for the Y, or for the up pipe, broke off here. And then I could not, for the life of me, they were so seized in that manifold that I wasn't able to get them out. So then I took the manifold off, and it looked pretty crappy. So I ended up just replacing it. But I also had a couple of these bolts snap off on me, so I had to drill and helicoil the head. So that was a really big pain in the butt. If you guys are gonna take those off, make sure you spray them really good. I sprayed it for about a week, but it still wasn't enough. I still had 2 of them snap off on me. But it's got new ARP hardware in it now, all the way around. Brand new manifold. This is just here loosely. It's an EGT probe. I got that all installed, and then the up pipe. Now we just need to do the down pipe, and then get all of the stuff up here finished up. As you guys can see, I have the old manifold here. Those are the 2 bolts that snapped off on me. I tried easy outing them, but this manifold, as you can tell, is just kind of, it's seen its better days. So I just decided to replace it. Sadly, I ended up, like I said, snapping more of those. But if you guys do this project, just be prepared for this kind of stuff. So I'm about to install the downpipe, and I wanted to do a little video before I installed them. Here's the new MBRP downpipe, and then this is the factory Duramax downpipe. As you can see, side profile, it is pretty pancaked, pretty restricted. Also, the bend here off of the turbo is pretty much like a deadhead, and then it has to flow down, so not very smooth transition there. Whereas this one comes out nice smooth sweep, no pancake action here in the center, and then a nice flow bend at the bottom. So yeah, should be a much better improvement on airflow, and then also should give us a little bit better turbo sound moving to the MBRP one. We got the exhaust all laid out here. I'm about to go install it. The old exhaust, I got that all removed. That is a 3.5-inch exhaust, and then this one we're upgrading to a 5-inch straight pipe for off-road use only, obviously. So we're getting rid of that cat right there, which is super restrictive, along with that muffler, and then also adding 1.5 inches of diameter. So overall, we should have huge gains in sound and airflow here. So that's pretty good. The pipe that goes over the axle, I already cut it. You have to cut 15 inches off of it if you have an extended cab long bed or a crew cab short bed. If you have a crew cab long bed, then you don't have to cut anything off of the over the axle pipe. But since I have a crew cab short bed, we had to cut off some of that. But this is pretty much how it's gonna be mocked up. I'm gonna start installing it, and I'll update you guys when I'm done. So we got some more goodies from HSP. We got a full intake system, including the turbo inlet. As you guys know or may not know, the LLY turbo inlet is a huge choking point. I'll show those here in a second. This is a must-have mod. It doesn't necessarily have to be the HSP, but this needs to get done. S&B, HSP, whatever it is, Whirly Fab. It's a huge issue on the LLYs, causes head gasket issues, chokes them down a lot. But we also got a driver side charge pipe right there, and then the box obviously for the intake, and then the passenger side charge pipes in that box over there. So we're pretty much doing a full piping kit from HSP. So this, along with the 5-inch exhaust, should give the truck quite a bit of improved flow, hopefully improve the throttle response, spool up times, maybe lower the EGTs. I'll do a review later down the road on how I like this stuff, but pretty much we're just going to be installing it now. I got it in powder coated in the gray with the white HSP lettering, and then I'm going to show you guys the differences in those intake, the turbo inlets. All right, so luckily I have the opportunity to show you guys pretty much 3 upgrades. I bought the truck and it had, the guy already installed this S&B one, but he also gave me the stock one, so you can kind of see a size difference here, guys. This is the stock turbo inlet. It is tiny, straight bend right there. There's not a very good transition, and then there's not a whole lot of room in there, compared to this, which has a huge inlet, a much better transition. It still does have kind of like that flat spot. There's not a whole lot of room to work with, but as you can see side by side, it is much larger, a lot more airflow with the S&B. So that's a huge upgrade right there if you guys are looking at doing the SNB one. And then here's the HSP one. Honestly, side by side, I would say volume size, the SNB is a little bit bigger, but I think transition wise, I think that the HSP is a little bit better, smoother flowing, and then it flows straight into your intake. So it doesn't connect here, it connects down farther, so there's a nice smooth transition into the intake. Whether or not that's actually a huge improvement or not, who knows. This one's just pretty. That's pretty much why I'm installing it. It looks better, matches all of my piping. I still think that the SNB is a massive upgrade either way. Probably the same as the HSP one. And if the HSP is any better, it's probably negligible. But you guys need to do one of these two mods if you have an LOI. This thing is trash. It is a huge issue on these trucks. Chokes down the turbo. They put the biggest turbo on the LOI, and then they give it this little tiny inlet, the smallest inlet of all the Duramaxes. Chokes it down, makes it harder for it to work. So definitely do one of these mods. All right, guys, so once you install the new box, you'll be removing that bottom tray that the old intake sat on. So you're pretty much gonna have a straight through shot for all of the cold air. And this is an actually fully boxed unit, whereas like some of the ones are just open to the engine bay. This one actually fully encloses the filter. And then you're just gonna get straight cold air through here. It won't be quite that open. I don't have my fender liners in right now. But even with the fender liners in there, not having this plate in there, and then having that huge filter right here just taking in complete cold air, it should be a huge improvement. So I kind of mocked it up. I put the lid back on it just to show you for tonight. I'm not gonna finish it tonight. I do have the turbo inlet in, but the intake elbow that comes to here and then the filter's not in it. I'm waiting to put that other charge pipe on because I'm waiting for some other hardware down below. So that's not gonna be tonight, but it'll be in the same video. But I kind of just wanted to do a little bit of a mock-up. And they do have it raised up a little bit, I think, kind of to catch any of that air that's gonna be coming between the hood and the headlights here and over that radiator support. Should go straight into that cold air intake. But it's all shielded here on the backside and has a nice little seal here to keep any of the hot air from that side from getting in. And then obviously, as you guys can see through there, it'll just be a straight shot. Other than the fender liner that will be in there, there should be a lot more cold air coming up into this thing. Let alone the size of this thing is huge in comparison, which I'll show you guys here in a second. So here's the two intake elbows right next to each other. It's kind of hard to tell in video, but this one is quite a bit bigger. Not a huge difference, but it definitely is bigger. On top of like some of these transitions here where like you can see this is kind of flattened out. This has nice swooping bends, nice and even all the way around, so it should be nice smooth airflow. As you can kind of see, there's weird bends and transitions. And then from an aesthetic side, obviously a nice powder coated metal piece is going to look a lot better than this plastic piece, and be a lot more durable. Not that this needs to be durable, but obviously in the long run it will be a little bit more durable. So overall it is a nice improvement over the stock piece. Here's the charge pipes for the passenger side. That's the stock one, and this is the HSP one. Pretty much the same bend and everything, but obviously this one's a lot larger, so that should improve some airflow. We got the passenger side HSP charge pipe on, that fed into the basically the intake horn here that goes to the HSP Y bridge down in there. So we got a nice, I believe it's 3-inch charge pipe all the way down into the intercooler. Now I'm gonna go and do the passenger side real quick, and then I'll finish up this intake install. And then this is the driver side charge pipe. That's the stock one there, and then obviously this is the HSP one. Just like the other side, the HSP is pretty much keeps the same size. So the stock one pretty much is like 2.5 or something, and then it kind of necks up to where it connects to the intercooler. The HSP one pretty much keeps it the same size the entire route, so makes it a much better flowing charge pipe. So we got the truck mostly all wrapped up, at least to get it to be able to start. We're just missing this cover, which I'm gonna throw on here in a second. Not that I need it to start it, but you guys can kind of see how the intake is. Charge piping, and then I got the other charge pipe on. There is some stuff I want to do in the future to kind of like dress this thing up a little bit better. This AC line looks like crap. The oil tube here has kind of got some rust on it. Honestly, I just do not have the time to clean it up right now, guys. Winter's coming. I got some other projects, so these will be summer projects for next year. I'll try and clean up the engine bay, but here in a second we're going to give it a start. Also got the PCV rerouted. Usually it's routed right into this intake duct right here, and it puts a bunch of oil through your entire intake system, including your intake valves. It's not really good for them, so I just bought a kit to reroute it to that wheel well right there. So we should have no more oil inside of our charge pipes, intercooler, intake valves, and all that stuff. So as you guys just heard, the truck is all finished up. An all new HSP intake, charge piping, EGR delete, PCV reroute, and then a full 5-inch exhaust, LB7 style up pipe, so on and so forth. I also did new thermostats and glow plugs while I was in there. Overall, I'm very happy with how the truck runs. I did a DSP5 switch. I can show you guys real quick. So I just installed the DSP5 switch right here. So far I'm happy with the tuning, but I'm going to be putting some more miles on it, and then I'm going to do an update video, and we'll get it from there. All right guys, so it's a couple weeks later actually, but I wanted to add this into the video. I didn't want to do a video just for adding the wheels, but I did get some new wheels for the truck. They are TIS off-road 22-inch wheels by 12, negative 44 offset, running Fury off-road RT, so kind of a hybrid tire, and those are 33s, and I think it completely changed the way the truck looks, guys. But more to come on the truck, guys. We still have a lot to do. I'll catch you in the next one.